All right, let's dive into something pretty interesting today. We're going to be talking about how the principles of seduction can actually be used to achieve financial success. We'll be looking at Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction as our main source.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Now, when you hear the word seduction, you might think, wait a minute, isn't that about romance?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. But what we're really going to be looking at today is how these same principles can be applied to business and wealth building. Like, how do you make people want what you're offering?
Yeah, I think that's what's so cool about the way Greene approaches it. He's really getting into the psychology of influence. He uses the word seduction, but it's more like a metaphor for persuasion in general. It's about making people want what you offer, whether that's a product or an idea.
So instead of just throwing facts and figures at people,
Yeah.
you're saying it's more about creating desire,
Yeah.
generating a genuine interest.
Exactly. It's like, think about a really good salesperson. They don't just tell you about the features of a product. They connect with you on some level. They figure out your needs. They make you feel like this product is the answer to all your problems. It's almost like they make you feel like you need to have it.
So they're not just selling you a product. They're selling you like a solution, a feeling, or an aspiration. They're tapping into a deeper desire.
Exactly. And Greene takes this concept even further, He actually introduces these things called seduction archetypes. These are like different approaches to influence, each with their own unique style.
So there's not just one seduction tactic. You're saying there's a whole bunch of different approaches. It depends on, I don't know, who you are, what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, exactly. Like you might use a different approach when you're talking to investors versus talking to a potential customer.
That makes a lot of sense. So this is already making me think. But this whole concept of using seduction for power and wealth, is this like a modern invention? Or has this been going on for a while?
Oh no, it's definitely not new. Throughout history, people have used their charm and their influence to gain power and wealth. I mean, look at Cleopatra.
Oh, yeah.
A classic example. She was a master of seduction. She used her charm to influence people like Julius Caesar, Mark Antony.
So she wasn't just relying on her looks. She was strategically using this charm to get what she wanted.
Exactly. This wasn't just about romance for her. It was about power, control, shaping the world around her.
So are we still seeing these seduction tactics being used today?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to business and finance.
100%. In today's world, charisma and the ability to really captivate an audience are more important than ever. You could have the best product or service in the world, but if you can't create that sense of desire and excitement, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. It's not enough to just have a great idea. You have to make people believe in it, make them want to be a part of it.
Exactly. Think about Steve Jobs and Apple. He wasn't just a tech genius. He was a master storyteller. His presentations weren't just about listing off specs and features. He sold a vision.
Right. He wasn't just selling a product. He was selling lifestyle, like a belief in the power of technology.
Exactly. He seduced the world with this vision of the future, and Apple's success is really a testament to the power of that approach. But let's bring this back down to earth a bit. What can our listeners do? How can they use these ideas to their advantage?
Yeah, let's get practical.
Yeah.
What are some actionable takeaways from the art of seduction that we can use to achieve financial success?
There's so much in there, but let's focus on 4 key takeaways. The first is to know your audience. Just like a skilled seducer understands their target, you need to understand your customer.
So do your research. Go beyond the surface level demographics.
Yeah.
Really understand their desires, motivations, maybe even their fears.
That's a really good way to put it. Like, let's say you're a financial advisor helping people plan for retirement. Knowing your audience means understanding their financial goals, their risk tolerance, what they want their future to look like. Only then can you really offer solutions that are going to resonate with them.
So you build trust. Show them that you understand their needs.
Right.
Okay, what's the next takeaway?
The second is to create an alluring persona or a brand. It's about crafting a captivating brand story, one that goes beyond just listing your products and services.
So like create an image, a feeling, an aspiration that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, think about luxury brands like Rolex or Chanel. They're not just selling watches or handbags. They're selling a lifestyle, a sense of exclusivity and prestige. They create a world that people aspire to be a part of and that makes their products so desirable.
So again, it's not just about what you're selling. It's about the story you're telling, the emotions you're evoking.
You got it. Now, the third takeaway, let's talk about charisma. Confidence, charm, strong communication skills, these are all essential for drawing people in.
So it's not enough to have a good idea.
Yeah.
You have to present it in a way that's engaging, maybe even a little seductive.
Right. Think about how you feel when you listen to a really charismatic speaker. They command your attention, make you feel excited about their ideas, leave you wanting more.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like they have this magnetic energy. But how do you cultivate that? Is it something you're born with, or can you learn it?
Well, some people might be naturally more charismatic, but it's definitely a skill you can develop. It starts with believing in yourself and your ideas, and then practicing your delivery, working on your body language. Really focus on connecting with your audience.
Okay, so we've got self-awareness, crafting an alluring persona, and charisma.
Mm-hmm.
What's the final piece of the puzzle? How do we turn these connections and this influence into actual, financial success?
That brings us to number 4, the final point. Leverage relationships. Building a strong network. Fostering genuine connections. That's essential.
So it's not just about closing a deal, it's about building relationships, nurturing those connections, and creating a network of people who believe in you and will support you.
Exactly. Think about it this way. You could have the most brilliant business idea in the world, but if you don't have the right connections, it's going nowhere. But if you've cultivated those relationships, those connections can open doors you wouldn't believe.
This all makes so much sense. It's not about manipulating people or tricking them. It's about understanding human nature, connecting with people.
You got it. And these principles, they can be applied whether you're selling a product, pitching an investment, or just trying to get your ideas heard.
This has been fascinating, and we're just getting started. Join us in part 2 as we explore even more examples of how these seduction tactics are being used to achieve success in business and beyond. Welcome back, everyone. It's amazing how much ground we covered in that first part. I'm really excited to see how these seduction principles actually play out in the real world.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Remember how we talked about creating an alluring persona or brand? Well, think about the world of luxury brands. Companies like Rolex, Chanel, even Tesla, they've mastered this art. They don't just sell products, they sell a lifestyle, an aspiration.
So it's like they're not just selling you a watch or a car, they're selling you a piece of a dream, a vision of who you could be.
Exactly. Take Tesla, for example. They're not just selling electric cars, they're selling innovation, sustainability, a vision of the future. They've built this brand that people want to be associated with, a symbol of, forward thinking and exclusivity.
It's about so much more than the product itself. It's the values, the emotions, the whole experience they create around their brand. You feel like owning their product brings you closer to that ideal.
Exactly. And they do this through storytelling, using imagery, carefully curated experiences to evoke a sense of desire and longing. Think about those sleek Tesla showrooms. Minimalist design, cutting-edge technology. They're not just selling cars. They're selling an experience.
It's like they're tapping into those deep-seated desires for status, belonging, achievement. And it's working. People are willing to pay a premium for a product that aligns with their aspirations.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit. Let's look at startups and entrepreneurship. Think about those captivating pitches you see on shows like Shark Tank. The most successful ones, they're not just about the product. It's the founder's passion, charisma, their ability to really sell their vision.
Right, you could have a groundbreaking invention, but if you can't captivate those investors with your story, your belief in your product, you're going nowhere.
Exactly. And that's where those principles of seduction really come in. Remember the seduction archetypes we talked about earlier? A successful entrepreneur might embody the archetype of the ideal lover, inspiring trust and devotion with their passion and authenticity. They create a connection. They make the investors feel like they're not just investing in a product, but a vision of a better future.
It's like they're seducing the investors with their enthusiasm and the potential of their idea.
That's a great way to put it. And it shows how important it is to cultivate those seduction skills, whether you're pitching to investors, presenting to clients, or even just trying to get your ideas heard in a meeting.
Okay, so we've seen how these principles play out in luxury branding and entrepreneurship. What about something a little more everyday? How can these ideas be applied to something like networking or building relationships?
That's a great question. It all comes back to charisma and leveraging relationships. When you meet someone new, think about how you can make them feel seen, heard, valued. Use your charm, your communication skills to create a genuine connection.
So it's not about being fake. It's about making a real effort to connect with people authentically.
That's it. It's about active listening, engaging with their ideas, finding common ground. People are drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves. Think about someone you really enjoy talking to. They probably make you feel comfortable, listened to, respected.
That makes sense. So we can use those same principles of seduction to build stronger relationships.
Absolutely. Think about the archetype of the charmer. They use their wit, humor, and genuine interest in others to create a sense of ease and connection. These are skills you can cultivate to build rapport, create lasting relationships that benefit you in so many ways.
This is really reframing the whole concept of seduction. It's a powerful tool for building relationships, achieving success.
And the best part is, it's not about some innate talent or magical ability. These are skills that can be learned. It's about understanding human nature and using that knowledge to connect with people.
This is so empowering. I'm already thinking about how I can apply these ideas to my own life. But before we wrap up, do you have time for one more example?
Sure, let's step into the world of politics and diplomacy. Think about figures like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi. They weren't just brilliant leaders, they were masters of persuasion, able to win over even their most ardent opponents.
So they were seducing people to their cause. But how did they do that without resorting to manipulation?
They understood the power of empathy, connecting with people on an emotional level. They weren't just arguing points, they were sharing their stories, their struggles, their vision for a better future.
They were showing their vulnerability, appealing to people's higher ideals.
Exactly. They embodied the archetype of the leader, inspiring trust and loyalty with their integrity and belief. And it worked. They mobilized millions of people and changed the course of history. It just goes to show that the principles of seduction can be a powerful force for positive change.
This is incredible. We've gone from Cleopatra to Steve Jobs, from luxury branding to social activism. And it's all connected by this idea of seduction as a tool for influence and connection.
It's been a fascinating journey so far, but we're not done yet. In our final segment, we'll distill all of these insights into some actionable takeaways that you can use in your own life. Stay tuned.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into seduction and wealth. We've explored the history, the psychology, and even seen these principles play out in business, relationships, and politics. Now, how can you use this information to your advantage?
Yeah, it's all about persuasive power, understanding what people want, making those connections.
But how do you actually put that into practice? Where do we even begin?
Well, I think the first step is self-awareness.
Okay.
Take some time to really think about your strengths. What are you good at? Are you a natural storyteller? Do you build rapport easily? Can you figure out what motivates people? Once you know your strengths, you can start to think about how to use them to be more persuasive.
So it's about playing to our strengths.
Yeah.
Right, not trying to be someone we're not.
Exactly. Authenticity is key.
Okay, so self-awareness, step one. What's next?
Next, you got to focus on your communication skills.
Right.
Because no matter what you're doing, pitching an idea, networking, even just having a conversation, how you present yourself and your ideas really matters.
So work on that elevator pitch, those presentation skills, active listening.
Exactly. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Confidence, being clear, a genuine interest in the other person. Those things go a long way.
Makes sense. So we've got self-awareness, communication. What else can we do to, really embrace this art of seduction and start seeing those results?
This might sound simple, but be genuinely interested in other people. Ask questions, listen to what they have to say, try to see things from their perspective. People are drawn to those who make them feel heard.
It goes back to building those genuine connections,
Yeah.
right? It's not about manipulation.
Right, it's about finding that common ground and building relationships based on trust.
I like it.
And finally, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Network, take risks, share your ideas and passions. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
This has been so interesting. We've covered so much, from Cleopatra to Steve Jobs, from luxury branding to just, the power of a smile.
It's amazing how these seduction principles can really be applied in so many areas of life.
Yeah, it really is.
And the best part is, it's not about some secret formula.
Right.
It's about self-awareness, genuine connection, putting yourself out there.
Well said. So for our listeners who are ready to embrace their inner seducer, what's the one piece of advice you would leave them with?
Believe in yourself. Believe in the value you bring to the table. When you approach the world with confidence, authenticity, and a genuine desire to connect, incredible things can happen.
That's fantastic. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the art of seduction.
But the exploration doesn't have to stop here.
Yeah.
The world is full of opportunities to influence, persuade, make a positive impact. It's up to each of us to find our strengths and use them.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep shining.